people, LP2000 right back at you with another video. Yes, welcome back to another edition of Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews on behalf of Collect All Monsters. And I know in my last video of the resin model kit review of the Heisei or Su Kobo Gabra 1969, I teased at the very end of that video that this video would be my review of the KOC 40cm 1955 Godzilla, also known as Gigantus. But I had a big, beautiful, monstrous blessing come my way in between that video and here. So I had to bump this guy up for obvious reasons. And oh God, this guy, woo, it's amazing. I'm gonna get that out the way right now, but you already clicked the title, you know exactly what we're covering here. So let's dive head first into this awesome, one-of-a-kind resin model kit review. And today we're taking a look at the resin model kit of the Tengetsu Crafts, 55 centimeters tall, of the 1984 Godzilla, from his super cool appearance in the first official awesome film that kicked off the Godzilla Heisei film series, 1984's The Return of Godzilla, also known as Godzilla 1985. Now, as you can see, I have the beautiful figure here in all his glory, the beautiful model kit, I should say, in all his gigantic size glory. And oh God, this thing is so amazing. Now, normally around this part of the video, I should say, I get into the packaging before I get into the model kit or the figure or whatever. But I got this figure like loose or firmly attached, built and painted, I should say. So I'm going to give a huge shout out and thank you to two special people for making this video happen and making this figure acquisition for me happen. First and foremost, our fearless leader on Collect All Monsters, one of my great friends of all time, the one and only Yount. Thank you very much. And of course, Marcellus Winters. Thank you so much. He built and painted this guy. I'll get more into the details about how they play into me acquiring this figure momentarily. But yes, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to both of those fine gentlemen, both Kyle and Marcellus, for making this happen for me. Now, in regards to the backstory with me getting this guy, or about the kit itself, actually, I did an unveiling with Kyle and Marcellus on Collect All Monsters. It's our most recent video or upload that we did on the channel where I unveiled this kit in all its glory. You know, we kind of talked about how Kyle was able to get it, how Marcellus built and painted it for me, all that good stuff. We go into detail in that video. So I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version of the backstory about me, this kit, how I got it, and all that good stuff. The Cliff Notes version is this. You know, this was a kit that was sold at the most recent Winter Wonderfest in Japan back in February. And as you all know, Kyle went there. You know, he went to Japan to go to Wonderfest. He had a group of people going with him, a group of collectors going with him to the show. And before he went, I was like, Kyle, if you could hook me up with the model kit, please let me know. He was like, sure, no problem. Now, in the few weeks leading up to the event, the only thing I really had my eye on coming out of that event was the Monster Maker Heisei G 1995 resin model kit that I know that was going to be there. So that was the only thing I really wanted. You know, X Plus wasn't really offering anything in terms of Wonderfest exclusives like they used to do back in the day. Didn't really want anything else from anybody, quite frankly. So really, a couple weeks prior to the event, that was the only thing I was looking for that I wanted Kyle to get for me. The Monster Maker 28 Heisei G 95. But like the week before Wonderfest, like that Monday or Tuesday, I think that's Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, Tengetsu Crafts teased on their Twitter that they were doing a gigantic size, suit accurate 1984 Godzilla. And of course, if you know about Tengetsu Crafts, it's a model kit studio in Japan, you know, no different than Monster Maker 28, Goro, Inoue Arts, you know what I'm saying? Just another great model kit studio from Japan, right? And of course, I'm no stranger to Tengetsu Crafts. As you know, I got the 50 centimeter resin model kit of the 1971 Godzilla, but I had it morphed into the 1972 Godzilla, the videos and archives on my channel. Recently, I got my hands on the 34 centimeter resin model kit of the 1966 Godzilla, courtesy of Tengetsu Crafts. And of course, that's the Godzilla that kind of looked questionable during the tail end of Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster. Haven't gotten to do that review just yet, but that video is coming. So that's my second. And this will make my third. And so when I found out that Tengetsu Crafts was doing this, I immediately told Kyle, like, look, as much as I want the Heisei Gauss, I'd rather have this. So if you're able to find it, please go for it. You know what I'm saying? Because actually, the Tengetsu Crafts, they actually made a 1984 Godzilla kit, 20 inches tall, you know, from what I understand. I think back in 2020, according to the Kaiju Kit website, right, according to their database. But like what I've been saying in regards to Tengetsu Crafts when I've been covering them, for me, this is just my opinion, their sculpts have been kind of like hit or miss. There have been some sculpts that look good. There have been some sculpts that have not looked so good. You know what I'm saying? And with all due respect to the first 84 that they did, it didn't really look all that great, to be honest with you. But when they started teasing photographs of the model kit that they were going to sale at Wonderfest of this guy right here, the detail was better, the size is even bigger, because again, like I just said, the previous 84 from Tengetsu Crafts is 20 inches tall. This guy is at 22 inches tall. Even his tail, the way it's upright like this, that's at 21 inches tall. So it goes without saying that this is the biggest collectible of Godzilla himself from the 1984 film. And so again, after seeing progress pics of this guy, again, I told Kyle, like, look, whatever you have to do, if you can't get the 95 Gauss, try and go for this one first. You know what I'm saying? And I was told from a couple different people that Tengetsu Crafts was only going to make like a few copies at the show. The number I heard was like less than 10. I don't know how true that is, you know, whatever. So, and if you don't know anything about Wonderfest, Wonderfest is an awesome model kit figure show in Japan. It happens in the winter, it happens in the summertime. And a lot of times when they offer exclusive purchases like this where you can get at the show, normally they sell out just like that, right? And when I found out supposedly that this kit was going to be a small quantity, like I said, like 10, you know, that was the reported number that they were going to do with this kit, I already put it out in my mind, like, ain't no way in the world that this thing's going to be available by the time Kyle gets into the building. So I actually thought that I was going to get my hands on the Monster Maker 28 Gauss before I would get my hands on this guy. Come to find out, when Kyle went into the building, the Monster Maker 28 Gauss was sold out, but this guy was still available. You know what I'm saying? Even though between the two, I would have rather have this one. So basically everything kind of worked out, you know what I'm saying? And he had it sent off from Japan, because he stayed in Japan for a few extra days after the show. Had it sent to Marcellus Winters. Of course, you know Marcellus Winters, the new prodigy in our group, the new breakout kid when it comes to building, painting model kits, you know, whatever. And I had it sent to him, and in like 2 or 3 weeks, he built and painted for me, and that is how I got my hands on this kit. Again, we did an unveiling on Collect All Monsters. It's the most recent video on the channel. Please check it out to learn more about our history with Godzilla 1985. And we talked about the movie a little bit too. And Kyle went more into detail about what he did at Wonderfest by acquiring this kit for me and all that good stuff. Marcellus even goes into great detail on what he had to do to put this kit together and bring it to life, you know what I'm saying? So please check out that video. It is a really, really awesome video, which is why, once again, I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version of the backstory right here. But please check out that video. I think you will enjoy it, you know what I'm saying? And that is a backstory about how I got this awesome kit of the 1984 Godzilla. And it's gigantic size, again, 22 inches tall. The tail, 21 inches tall. And coincidentally, you know what? This year, 2023, marks the 10-year anniversary of the X Plus Gigantic series. And you all know, when it comes to the X Plus Gigantic series, that is my favorite line of figures to collect. Because, you know, I love the bigger size stuff. I love the gigantic size stuff. Of course, you know, I love my 30s, my 25s, my Defo Reels, my favorite sculptors lines. But out of all of them, the gigantic series is my most favorite line to collect. And ever since that line has come into fruition way back in 2013, you know, the premise behind the gigantic series was that X Plus was going to bring forth Godzilla designs and make him into vinyl figures of Godzilla in his most powerful, imposing, intimidating form. You know what I'm saying? And considering what they have chosen so far to go into the line, you know what I'm saying? Of course, the GMK, perfect, you know what I'm saying? The Tengetsu Goji 95, awesome. The 89, the 64, the 62, the 2000, Shin, legendary, you know what I'm saying? Even the non-Godzilla ones, like the Mecha Godzilla or the Gigantic Kong that just got recently released. Pretty much every single monster they have put, as far as like Godzilla himself, really conveys the premise behind the series. Again, power, awesomeness, imposing, intimidating, you know what I'm saying? It conveys all that. But the one Godzilla design that I've always wanted them to go into, but they never did. They never did, and I don't understand why. It's the 84. I know I'm not the only one out that was out there advocating for them to do a gigantic 84 in the X Plus Gigantic series. You know what I'm saying? Not trying to say that they probably won't ever do it, 'cause I'm sure they will at some point. You know, I know it's coming, but again, it's been 10 years since that line was formed, and you would have thought by now, we would at least seen an 84 by now, because the 84 conveys what the X Plus Gigantic series is about. Again, power, awesomeness, intimidation, imposing. And it's kind of shocking in a way that they have never done an 84. So when I found out about this guy coming, like, you know what? I'm going after it. Because again, as I said a few times in my most recent string of videos when it comes to model kits, with all due respect to X Plus, and I'm a huge supporter of X Plus. You know that. I love the figures. I love the company. I love the line. Have everything they have done been perfect? Absolutely not. But by and large, I'm a huge supporter of them. But at the same time, I'm getting more... You know, I'm getting more into the idea of collecting more kits, quite frankly. And I'm getting tired of waiting for X Plus to make this monster or make that monster when there's a model kit available of that same monster. You know what I mean? So, again, I'm glad I got this guy in my collection. Again, gigantic size. Again, the biggest 1984 Godzilla that is out there right now currently. So I am a happy camper. I'm a happy camper because I love Godzilla 1985. More so than the 84. I so love the design, you know what I'm saying? It's one of my most favorite designs of Godzilla of all time. In my top 10, I think he runs at number 5, I think. Because it would be the 64 is number 1 for me. Number 2 would be 91. Number 3 would be GMK. Number 4 would be 74. And number 5 would be 84. Yeah, so he'd be in my top 5. He's in my top 5 of favorite Godzilla designs. You know what I'm saying? And I have to say, this thing is perfect. This thing is so perfect. So you know what? Let's get up close and personal with this guy right now. Once again, this is the Tengetsu Crafts 55cm resin model kit of the 1984 Godzilla right off the bat. Let's go with the Sculpt. The sculpt looks amazing, you know what I'm saying? You know, with the tree bark skin of Godzilla. It's really detailed here. Again, more so than the one that they did back in 2020. Again, with all due respect to that one, it just didn't capture the 84. You know what I'm saying? I'll provide some pictures as I go along here of what that 84 looked like. But when you look at it, it's like, it's okay. But as you can see here with this new one, that improvements could have been made, and they have been made. You know what I'm saying? So the tree bark light skin is really done really well here. Sculpted really well here. You know, the four-toe scheme, you know, whatever, looks really good. You know, his claws, the thick claws. That's one thing. That's one of the most things I love most about this Godzilla. I love his thick claws. You know what I'm saying? In a way, this thing is kind of like a reincarnation of the 64. You know what I'm saying? With the fangs and the claws being so sharp, you know, whatever. So I really like his hands. I really like the claws on his hands, the thick claws, you know, whatever. It looks really good. The dorsal plates, oh my God, the dorsal plates looks phenomenal. Looks perfect in my opinion. He's kind of like leaning forward a little bit. The details kind of follow suit on his back, you know, whatever. So that looks great. You know, the tail, oh my God, I love the way Marcellus made the tail here. Where, you know, he put like a little peg underneath the base of the tail where he can stand without having like one of those normal tail stands that we get from X Plus, you know, the thick ones, you know, whatever. So what he did, he installed a peg right underneath Godzilla's tail at the base here. And actually it works better and it's barely noticeable, you know what I'm saying? You know, once you get up close and personal with it, you can actually see it. But I actually like this better. And I think he got that idea, from what I understand, from Heisei G. Where, you know, he installed a peg into the tail to keep it more upright versus having like a thick tail stand like we get from the X Plus that's really noticeable. But right here is less noticeable. So I like that. I love how the tail is going upwards, you know, whatever. Really long tail, because that was like something that was kind of like customary when it came to the Heisei Godzilla. Not only did he get bigger, you know, they increased the number of dorsal plates on his back. His tail got bigger, you know, longer, you know, whatever. So I love how the tail is going upwards here, really elegant, you know what I'm saying? It looks really good. The sculpt on the head, oh my God, the big head, the bigger head, you know, whatever. It looks great. It's a shame that his head got smaller as the Heisei series progressed. But the head looks phenomenal. The head is sculpted phenomenal. You know, the teeth individually sculpted, like just the thick teeth. Even the teeth are thick and they're sharp too. So that's done really well. The tongue, for what I understand, a tongue did come with the pieces that came with the original kit. But for what I understand, I think it got lost in the box or it got lost in shipping or whatever. So actually Marcellus, when it comes to the tongue, he actually made a tongue scratch made and put it in the mouth here. And as you can see, the tongue is sculpted really well. So again, Marcellus, thank you so much for doing that for me. I really do appreciate it. Because again, that tongue, you know, with the teeth and him roaring like that just adds a little bit more realism when it comes to overall look of the ferocious face of this Godzilla. Looks really well. The eyes, the hooded brow of Godzilla looks great, you know, whatever. The ears look great. Oh my God, that is so awesome. My God. And you know what? That's the thing when it comes to the ears of Godzilla. I don't know how you feel about it, you know, whatever. I'm for both. I'm for Godzilla when he has ears. I'm fine with him without having ears, you know, whatever. But for me, I think the ears and the fangs coming back, as well as the four-toe scheme here, because we haven't seen that since the 55, quite frankly. But I like how they brought that back. They brought back the four-toe scheme. They brought back the thick claws. They brought back the just the fangs. The teeth looks ferocious, as well as the ears, because it transcends Godzilla from being just an ordinary mutated dinosaur, prehistoric dinosaur, to an actual monster or a demon. So I'm glad how they brought all these features back with this Godzilla moving forward in the Heisei series. And might as well say the Millennium series to a certain extent. So I'm glad they brought that back. But the overall sculpt for Godzilla, his head, you know, the ears, the teeth, the way Marcellus sculpted the tongue, phenomenal. The chest, you know, really nice chest. It's not as buffed up as it would be in 91, but it still is a great looking chest, all chiseled, you know, whatever. The claws, you know, his legs here. They're not the thick thighs that he would get later in 93 and 94 and 95. So, you know, I like how Godzilla is, you know, well proportioned here, is what I'm trying to say. Well proportioned, and the sculpt really reflects that. Again, the four-toe scheme, the dorsal plates on his back, oh my God, just every single dorsal plate looks phenomenal. It looks great. Even the smaller dorsal plates going towards the base of his tail to the tip of his tail. It's just an awesome sculpt. Again, Tengetsu Crafts did their thing on this one. Again, as I said many times before, their sculpts are sometimes hit or miss, you know, in my opinion. But I can tell you, sculpt-wise, this is a hit. This is a massive hit. And I'm glad I was able to get it. Now, let's go towards the paint job. Now that we covered the sculpt, and in my opinion, the sculpt is perfect, let's go towards the paint job. And that's where, of course, Marcellus comes into play once again. And I asked him to make it more so of a darker color, you know, whatever. Provide some highlights here and there, but make it more of a blackish, darker color. And he did that with the majority of Godzilla's body here. I love the darker charcoal gray skin, more so blackish, if you will, on the majority of Godzilla's body. It looks great, you know, from the body to the tail. Just the overall skin on Godzilla looks really, really good. The toenails as well as the claws here has that dirty bone white color. Looks really, really good the way he painted them, you know, whatever. Even the darker silver paint scheme or sheen on the dorsal plates, because that's what I asked for. Because there are times where in the film where Godzilla has like a lighter shade of silver on the dorsal plates, and there are times where they're darker. Since I wanted more so of a darker color when it came to his skin, I wanted a darker texture when it came to the dorsal plates to follow suit. So I asked him to make the dorsal plates a darker silver sheen, and he did exactly that, you know, whatever. So it looks really, really good. Now, finally, let's go towards the head. Oh my God, the way he painted the teeth. Dirty bone white, no different than the claws on his hands and the toes. Looks really, really good. The tongue, you know, the scratch-made tongue that he made, looks really, really good. Painted really well. The interior of the mouth on the upper jaw and the lower jaw looks really, really good. You know, whatever. And finally, the eyes. And again, the eyes look great. The eyes look perfect, in my opinion. And again, that's one of those things about when it comes to Godzilla, like the eyes have to be just right, especially when it comes to certain Godzillas. This guy is no exception. So I think the eyes had to be perfect on this guy for everything to be perfect. Because if the eyes were off, you know, that kind of like throws off the entirety of the sculpt, you know, whatever. As much of a great job he did with the dorsal plates and the skin texture and the claws and the toes and the tail and the way he built it, you know, all that is great. But if the eyes were off, it kind of like throws everything out of whack, in my opinion. But Marcellus did a perfect job with the eyes, and he did a great job with the eyes, the menacing looking eyes, the pupils, you know, the little brown iris within the eyes looks really, really good. So from top to bottom, sculpt wise, paint job wise, Marcellus did a perfect job when it came to this Godzilla, when it comes to this Godzilla. And of course, this is not the first work I've gotten from him. You know, he made the 91 Horizon Godzilla kit for me. He made those customized gigantic gargantuas for me. He made the KOC 47 1954 Godzilla for me. He made the Resin Chef 1972 King Ghidorah for me. And all of them are great works. And it seems like every work that I would get from him is like he has gotten better and better and better and better. I have to say, he has reached the pinnacle when it comes to his work. Like, this is his best work of all time. And I know that, you know, ever since he started making kits and building kits, he has established himself with some great clientele. So I'm happy to see that, you know, whatever. When he's not dressed like a James Bond villain. You know how to say that, Marcellus, if you're watching. You know, when you're not dressed like a James Bond villain or a Batman villain, you know, you're doing your thing when it comes to model kits. Outside of you being a pastor, a motivational speaker, you know, whatever. Again, being a Batman villain and a James Bond villain. Seriously, dude, you have done, like, me a great service. You have done me a great service with the way you built and painted this 1984 Godzilla, you know, whatever. One of a kind, if you will, because, again, this is the biggest 1984 Godzilla that is out there. Now, I know that Phil the Kaiju King, you know, look him up on YouTube. Cool friend of mine, Philip Frazier, also known as Phil the Kaiju King. I know that he has a gigantic size 1984 Godzilla that he had Heisei G built for him. It's a custom statue, and it looks great. But aside from that, this is the biggest 1984 Godzilla collectible that is out there. And I highly advocate, if you're able to find this kit out there on Baiyi or Mandarake or somewhere out there on the internet, if you're able to find it, please get it. Worry about who you're going to send it to or whatever if you can't build and paint it yourself. But just secure the kit. Secure the kit, get your hands on it, and you will not be disappointed. And in my opinion, this is the best collectible of the 1984 Godzilla that is out there right now. Yes, yes, yes. So let's see what the backstory with me getting this guy. Again, thank you to Kyle, thank you to Marcellus for making this happen for me. I really, really do appreciate it. To all my 84 fans out there, Godzilla Train 1090, Matt Jacobson, Godzilla 851, Brutezilla, you know what I'm saying? Nick Adams from the Monster Report. All my 84 fans out there, get it. I'm telling you, get this guy right here. I know you may have the Sakai 84 from X Plus. You may have the Monster Maker 84, you know, whatever. But I'm telling you, if you're a fan of the 84, you owe it to yourself to get this guy in your collection. Not now, but right now. And hopefully this will open the floodgates for other companies to get involved on giving us a gigantic size 1984. Hopefully this will be, you know, the door where companies will look at this and say, you know what? There's a market for people out there that want a gigantic size 84, so we should get on that. X Plus, Mondo, Prime 1, Spiral Studios, you know, whatever. So I think that with this guy being out there, I think we will see more gigantic size 84s coming down the pipeline. It's a question of if, it's a question of when, but I think we will see that. I think we will. But until then, they have a tough act to follow because this guy is perfect, it is amazing, and it's all that good stuff. And I highly recommend it if you're able to find it out there on the internet. I really do. So that's it with the backstory about me getting this guy and all that good stuff. Again, thank you to Kyle. Thank you to Marcellus for making this happen for me. I really do appreciate it. So, you know what? Let's do at least two size comparisons. And you know what? I mentioned the X Plus Gigantic series a little bit earlier in the video. So let's bring up the two Gigantic series figures of Godzilla himself from the Heisei period, courtesy of the X Plus Gigantic series with the 89 and the 95. Let's put them both together with the first Heisei Godzilla that is now a gigantic size figure in its first ever size comparison. So let's do that, ladies and gentlemen, right now. Okay, folks, here we are with the first size comparison, or should I say gigantic size comparison. And yes, alongside both his size of the Tengetsu Crafts 55cm resin model kit of the 84 Godzilla, I have two of his Heisei counterparts, courtesy of the Gigantic series, courtesy of X Plus. And of course, to the left, we have the X Plus Gigantic series 1995 Godzilla, or Desagoji from Godzilla vs. Destroyer. And to his right, I have the X Plus Gigantic series 1989 Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Baalante. And as you can see here, this is awesome. And as you can see how tall the Tengetsu Crafts 84 is in comparison to the 95 and the 89, right? Because the 95 for a time was the tallest, biggest Godzilla that they've done in the Gigantic series at 18 inches tall, right? Then I think Legendary came along and kind of like trumped him, you know. No, Shin came along first. That kind of trumped the 95. Then the Legendary kind of trumped the Shin a little bit. But then the 89 came along, and the 89 is currently the tallest Gigantic series figure from S Plus. But as you can see, he has to look up to the 84, you know what I'm saying? And this is visual confirmation that X Plus should have done an 84 a long time ago. Because again, I know I've not been the only one. Godzilla Train 1090, Godzilla 851, Brutezilla, Nick Adams from the Monster Report. We all have been saying, when are they going to do a gigantic 84 from X Plus? When are they going to do it? You know what I'm saying? And it's like we've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and they have not answered our cries, unfortunately. But Tengetsu Crafts was like, you know what? I got you. I got you. So with that being said, I hope X Plus will do an eventual 84 to put into the Gigantic series. And I know if they don't, somebody else will. Because again, there is a market for people out there that want to see a gigantic size 84 made. If they were not able to get their hands on the Tengetsu Crafts, trust me, there is a market for a gigantic 84. There are lots of 84 fans out there that will spend their hard-earned money for a gigantic size quality collectible of the 84 Godzilla. But I think we will see that. I think it's not a question of if anymore, it's a question of when. I think somebody, some company, someday will produce a gigantic size 84. But until then, they have some hard competition to top with the Tengetsu Crafts. Trust me when I say that. So that's it with the first size comparison, or first Heisei gigantic size comparison. Oh my God, they look great together. They so look great together. So let's do the last size comparison. And you know what? Again, as I said a few times before in the video, I'm a huge fan of this movie and a huge fan of this designer Godzilla from the '84 film. So let's bring up all the '84 collectibles I have in my collection from X Plus, Monster Maker 28, and all that good stuff, and see how they pair up against a gigantic one here in this last size comparison. So let's do that, ladies and gentlemen, right now. Okay, folks, here we are with the final size comparison, or should I say 84 size comparison. And we go from the gigantic Heisei size comparison with the 95 and 89 up against the gigantic 84 here from Tengetsu Crafts. Now I bring in all the other 84s that I have in my collection from various companies. And yes, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the 84, as you can see. So let's go from left to right. And in the upper left-hand corner, you know, flanked around the gigantic Tengetsu Crafts, I have the Monster Maker 28 35cm kit of the Saibot 84 Godzilla. Looks great. Down next to him in the foreground, I have the X Plus 25cm 84 Godzilla. Highly underrated figure in my opinion. And that's a figure you don't really see out there too often either. He's very rare, very sought after. And I put him there for a reason. I put him there up against the Saibot because if you look at the face of the 25cm 84, he does kind of have shades of the Saibot embedded in his face. I don't know if that was the original intention, but as you can see by the face, you can tell a little bit of the Saibot is in the face a little bit. So that's why I have him there, quite frankly. Next to him in the foreground, I have this super cute Death Row 84, him holding the reactor. Awesome. You probably can't tell because it's kind of dark in the background there, but in between the legs of the gigantic Tengetsu Crafts, I have a NECA 84. You know what I'm saying? And it's not exactly the best figure in the world, but again, as an 84 fan, I had to get it. Of course, next to him, arguably the best 84 out there from a lot of people's perspectives, the X Plus 30cm Yuji Sakai 1984. And finally, in the upper right-hand corner, I have the original 30cm 1984 Godzilla. Coincidentally, that was the first ever X Plus figure that I got, which made me into an avid X Plus supporter and avid X Plus collector and fan. So I owe a lot to the 84. But as you can see here, all these 84s look great together. You know what I'm saying? You know, from Tengetsu Crafts, from X Plus, even the NECA looks great to a certain extent. But as you can see here, again, I'm a fan. I love this design, and I love this movie. You're probably wondering how would I rank them? Because for the longest time, the Monster Maker 28 Saibot 84, and I said a few times before on various platforms, that was my favorite 84. And ironically, he actually trumped the Sakai 84 in terms of being my favorite, because for a while the Sakai 84 was my favorite. I have to say that the gigantic Tengetsu Crafts, without question, has trumped the Monster Maker 28 Saibot 84, because again, there's a lot of detail in the Tengetsu Crafts. Not to mention the size and the sheer presence of the gigantic. It just trumps them all. So I had to rank them once again. Number 1 would be the Tengetsu Crafts 84. Number 2 would be the Monster Maker 28 Saibot 84. Number 3 would be the Yuji Sakai 84 from X Plus. Number 4 would be the 30cm X Plus, the original 30cm 84 from X Plus. Then the 25cm, then the Death Row, and then finally at the end would be the NECA 84. So again, it's nice to see these various collectibles of the 84 Godzilla in this shot right here. Why don't you let me know in the comment section what do you think would be your favorite 84? Would the Sakai trump the Tengetsu? Would the Monster Maker 28 trump the Sakai? Would the Death Row? I don't see how that could happen. Would the Death Row trump any of these guys? You know what I'm saying? But to have all these together, especially from one of my most favorite movies and favorite designs, is really, really cool. You know what I'm saying? So that's it with all the size comparison I want to put in this video up against the Tengetsu Crafts 84. This is awesome, and I'm so glad to finally have this guy in my collection. Without question, my most favorite figure acquisition so far in the year of 2023. So that's it with all the size comparisons. Let's go with the final commentary portion of the video with my final thoughts of the 55cm resin model kit of the Tengetsu Crafts 1984 Godzilla from the Return of Godzilla, also known as Godzilla 1985. So let's go with the final commentary portion of the video right now. Okay, folks, I'm back with my final thoughts of the resin model kit of the Tengetsu Crafts, 55 centimeters tall, of the 1984 Godzilla from the Return of Godzilla, also known as Godzilla 1985. 10 out of 10. It is perfect. I don't see anything wrong with this figure. I don't see any embellishments. I don't see any exaggerations. I don't see anything just blatantly wrong with this figure or this model kit. You know what I'm saying? The fact that it even trumped not only the Monster Figure 28 Side-by 84 and the Yuji Sakai 84 for me, that right there is saying something. But it has done that. Again, this is a vast, vast improvement over the previous 84 that Tengetsu Crafts did a few years ago. It is light years better. Yes, it is. It is so awesome. It is so amazing. And again, if you're an 84 fan, you owe it to yourself to add this guy in your collection. Again, as I was told by a couple of different people leading up to Winterfest, there weren't too many of these kits out there, you know what I'm saying? Not trying to say it's impossible to find him, because you never know. You may pop up on eBay or Mandarake or Bayou one day and you may see it. And I say if it's for a good price and if you're a fan of the 84 and the movie, go after it. Because again, I said it a few times before and it is worth repeating here. This is the official biggest Godzilla of the 84 Godzilla out there right now. And I'm sure other companies will get in on the excitement of bringing us, you know, gigantic size 84. You know what I'm saying? 84s, I should say. And again, it's baffling that S Plus never really tackled one. You know, again, this is the 10th year anniversary of the gigantic series since it was formed. And they've not done an 84 just yet. But maybe, you know, let your voices be heard. Send them an email saying, hey, we want an 84. If Tengetsu Crafts can do this, and X Plus or anybody else, you could do a gigantic size 84. Because again, I think there is a market for a gigantic size 84 out there. I'm sure there are a lot of people that would love to have a gigantic size 84 in their collection. But until that happens, if you can find this guy for a good price, I so highly recommend it. And as it stands right now, this is my most favorite 84 in my collection, and it's my most favorite Heisei collectible in my collection. But again, all that does not happen without the awesome Kyle Yount and Marcellus Winters. Thank you both, kind sirs, very much for helping me secure this figure and have it in my collection, and for making this video happen today. Now, before we get up out of here, again, I don't want to dive too much into 1985. The film, The Return of Godzilla 1984, because again, we already covered in the unveiling video that I teased earlier on in the video. Please check it out if you get a chance. But I will say this, that again, this is one of the films that I grew up watching, smack dab in the middle of watching some various entries from the Showa period, where we got the happy-go-lucky Godzilla. And then when I saw this film being such a dark interpretation, reinterpretation, if you will, of the character, it kind of threw me for a loop. But at the same time, it made me appreciate in the long run the more darker stories involving Godzilla and him being more of an antagonist. I said many times before that yes, Godzilla is the antagonist in Godzilla 1985, but villain is a strong word to describe this Godzilla. Again, yes, he is a destructive monster. He is. There's no question about that. But a lot of times in the film, the destruction he causes is from him being attacked first by the military. And this Godzilla really illustrates the quote that Inoshiro Honda made a long time ago when he started doing these Godzilla films. I'm paraphrasing here, but he says that basically giant monsters or kaiju are just tragic beings. They're just born too big. And I think that really describes this Godzilla as a whole, because this Godzilla comes across to me, for what I got from the film, he's more so of a curious animal. You know what I'm saying? Because again, this Godzilla is not the same one from 1954. This is a brand new Godzilla. And he comes across as more as a curious animal. You know, he's not like the demon from 54, because when you see Godzilla in 1954, especially when he comes back to attack Tokyo for the second time, you can see that Godzilla being a very cruel beast. He is specifically targeting people to try to kill. It's like he just surveying all the buildings around him, which one he's going to destroy next. He comes across as a calculated killer and demon in 54. This Godzilla, again, appears more so as a wandering animal, and when he appears in a civilized city, you know, he's going to be attacked by the military, and so he retaliates, you know what I'm saying? We really see this Godzilla have more so of an enraged personality when he gets taken down by the Super X. But then when he's resurrected, he's like, he is hell-bent on trying to get at the Super X. Basically saying, you took me down, now it's time for me to return the favor. But again, what I appreciate about this Godzilla, about this character of Godzilla, and Raymond Burr really drives that point home in 1985, which is one of the reasons why I actually prefer the 1985 cut over the 84 cut, that this Godzilla comes across really like a natural disaster, right? He should be treated and he should be approached like one. Godzilla in this film is no different than a typhoon, an earthquake, a bad storm, a hurricane, or whatever. You have to be very aware of what they can do, quite frankly. And they're Godzilla like a typhoon or a hurricane or an earthquake. You don't know when it's coming. They'll just show up out of nowhere. You have to protect what you have while they're there. Then once they eventually move on, you have to pick up the pieces after they have moved on. And that's basically what Godzilla is. And I love how they drove that point home. That even though Godzilla is the antagonist of the film, especially at the end when they trap him in the volcano, you really feel sorry for him. You really do. He becomes something that you end up being against the majority of the film in a way, to something that you end up rooting for at the end. And I think that's great storytelling, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I will always highly advocate for Godzilla 1985. Even the Return of Godzilla 1984. Because I know a lot of these Godzilla fans come to these films to see Godzilla fight monsters, to fight aliens, but you don't get that in this film. You don't get that in the 54 film. You don't get that in Shin Godzilla. But in terms of Godzilla versus humanity, because I always love seeing Godzilla fight humanity. Yes, it's fun to see him fight King Ghidorah, Mothra, King Kong, all these outlandish monsters, yes. But I've always believed that there is so much mileage and great storytelling and drama in humanity versus Godzilla stories. And this may be a blasphemous thing for me to say, but I have to be honest here. When it comes to these type of stories between 54, 84, and Shin, out of all of them, the 84/85 is my favorite when it comes to Godzilla vs. humanity stories. You know, I'm sure I'm not the only one out there that feels that way. Yes, I honor the 54. I recognize the importance of that film. I even recognize the importance of Shin Godzilla. But in terms of entertainment and enjoyment, and especially when they shaped my childhood as a fan, I have to go with Godzilla 1984, also known as Godzilla 1985. All right, so that's all I'm going to go into in regards to me diving head first into the film or more deep into the film, because I can talk about this film for hours, especially this character of Godzilla for hours. But I'm actually going to put together a live stream, a supplemental video on Collect All Monsters, where I get with other super diehard 84s like myself, like Nick Adams for the Monster Report, Godzilla Train 1090 for Monster with Attitude, Gojira 851, Brutezilla. I want to get together with all those fine gentlemen because I know they love the 84 film too. We're all going to get together and talk about our favorite moments, our favorite collectibles involved in that awesome film of The Return of Godzilla 1984, also known as Godzilla 1985. That will be coming sometime this year. I'm going to get that done this year on Collect All Monsters. I can't wait to get that done. But in the meantime, if you can find this guy for a good price, and especially if you're a fan of the 84 and a fan of the film, you owe it to yourself to go after, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, definitely the biggest 1984 Godzilla collectibles of himself out there. There's no question about that. Yes, yes, yes. So that pretty much concludes my review of the resin model kit of the 55cm Tengetsu Crafts of the 1984 Godzilla. From his super cool appearance in the first ever epic Heisei film that kicked off the Godzilla Heisei film series, The Return of Godzilla 1984, also known as Godzilla 1985. If you have any questions, tell me down in the comment section. Hit me on Facebook via Leslie Chambers, but definitely go from there. Yes, once again, whew, I love it. I love it. This is one of those figures, or at least acquisitions, like, whenever I get a figure, and you know me, I do work a lot, right? I don't have time to come upstairs to my man cave to see my collection or whatever. But when I got this guy, I have made every attempt when I get home from work and I'm tired and I've been out on the road all day for 13, 14 hours. I make it my business to come upstairs and just look at this thing at least once, because this thing is so amazing. I haven't felt that way about a figure in a long time. Probably the last time I felt that way is when I got the Favorite Sculptors line Emperor and Godzilla set from X Plus, right? Because that's an impressive figure set as well. But ever since then, it's like, you know, I'll get a figure, I enjoy it, don't get me wrong, but then I put it in my room and I won't see it till like 3 or 4 days later. This guy here, ever since I got it, I have made it my business to come up here and see this guy, just take a look at him over and over and over again. And that's a testament how awesome the sculpt is. That's a testament how awesome Marcellus Winters painted and built this thing. And again, I just love it. I so love it. And again, thank you to Kyle and thank you to Marcellus for making this happen for me. I really, really do appreciate it. I'm sorry if I deviated from giving you the KOC 4cm Godzilla 55 also known as Gigantis review. Trust me, that review is coming. That review is coming. I don't know if it'll be coming next, but I know it will be coming because I did get a couple things for myself since I got this guy that I'm going to try and put out there maybe before the KOC. But trust me, the KOC is coming. So please stay tuned for great, great content coming here on Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews. And thank you so much for staying here with me. I really do appreciate it. And again, this thing is so amazing. So if you can find one in the aftermarket, I highly recommend you go after it. Yes, yes, yes. So ladies and gentlemen, I finally give to you the resin model kit of the 55cm Tengetsu Crafts of the 84 Godzilla from a super cool appearance from the Return of Godzilla 1984, also known as Godzilla 1985. Yes, yes, yes. So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. And I will see y'all again on this Figure Move review. All right. Y'all take it easy.